Okay, so picture this. It's the middle of the night, January 2012. You're scrolling through 4chan, probably one of the weirdest places on the internet, and this image pops up. It doesn't look like much, right? But this simple black and white image was the start of what many still call the greatest, most complex puzzle the internet has ever seen. A puzzle that was about to jump out of the screen and into the real world. This was the message that came with it. No name, no organization, just this incredibly cryptic challenge. We are looking for highly intelligent individuals. It was a gauntlet thrown down to anyone online smart enough to find something hidden in plain sight. And it was signed with this weird number, 3301. Just like that, the race was on. So right off the bat, you couldn't solve this just by looking at it. You had to know about something called steganography. Now think of it like digital invisible ink. The real first clue was actually hidden inside the data of the image file itself. So unless you knew how to look for that, you were already out of the race. What happened next was just wild. The internet went to work fast. Within hours, this global hive mind of complete strangers started collaborating. They ripped open the image data, they cracked a Caesar cipher that's an ancient Roman code, and they started following this bizarre breadcrumb trail that led to, well, something nobody saw coming. The pace was just absolutely insane. This is the moment the puzzle literally punched a hole through the computer screen and into our world. The clues eventually led to a real working phone number. In Texas. I mean, stop and think about that. A mystery that started on some anonymous message board now had a phone number you could pick up your phone and actually call. This wasn't just some clever game anymore. This was something else entirely. So people started calling, right? And when they did, a pre-recorded robotic voice answered. It congratulated them for making it that far, and then gave them the next clue, 3 very specific prime numbers. The fact that there was a dedicated phone line set up, that suggests a level of planning and resources that was frankly pretty startling. And this is when a kind of creepy thought started to sink in for the people working on this. If the puzzle masters knew when to move on to the next clue, it meant they weren't just watching from a distance. They were actively monitoring the community's progress in real time. Someone, somewhere, was watching thousands of people trying to solve their test. The big question was who? As word spread and thousands of people started jumping on board, a new message suddenly appeared on a hidden website on the Tor network. It was a warning shot, basically. Cicada 3301 made it crystal clear. They weren't interested in the crowd. They wanted the elite few who could crack the codes themselves. This was their way of filtering out the noise and focusing on the real players. Just when everyone thought they were starting to understand the rules of the game, Cicada 3301 didn't just move the goalposts, they blew up the entire stadium. The puzzle was no longer just about screens and code. It was about to become a very real, very physical, global treasure hunt. So get this, the next set of clues were actual GPS coordinates. Not for some online game, but for real-world spots in 14 cities across 5 continents. Places like Warsaw, Sydney, Paris, and Seattle. People in those cities had to physically go to these locations to find the next piece of the puzzle, which was a poster with a QR code taped to a lamppost. And this just hammers home the sheer scale of the whole thing. Someone had to design these posters, print them out, and have people on the ground in all these different countries ready to put them up in secret, all at the same time. This was not the work of one person in their basement. This was a disciplined, coordinated, and globally distributed operation. And here's where the real genius of Cicada 3301 starts to show. This was never just a test for hackers and coders. To even have a shot, you needed this insane range of knowledge. We're talking obscure medieval Welsh mythology, Victorian-era poetry, classic cyberpunk literature, and even mystical traditions like Kabbalah. They weren't looking for a specialist. They were looking for a true polymath, someone who could see the hidden connections between everything. So after years of these increasingly mind-bending puzzles, the few who made it to the end were led to one final challenge, the ultimate enigma at the very heart of the mystery, a strange, cryptic book known only as the Liber Primus. The Liber Primus, which means first book, is a 58-page text, but here's the kicker. It's not written in any known human language. The creators of Cicada 3301 invented their own language from scratch, using ancient runes for the alphabet. It was a book designed to be understood only by the people who would truly earn the right to read it. So what was actually in this book?
Well, the few pages that the community has painstakingly managed to translate reveal a surprisingly deep philosophy. It talks about things like the ethics of intelligence, the right to privacy, and the dangers of letting power fall into the hands of too few people. It suddenly becomes clear these weren't just random puzzles. This whole thing was an ideological test designed to find people who think a certain way.
And then, just as suddenly as it all started, it just stopped. After 3 years of running these annual puzzles, a final message appeared. Cicada 3301 announced that they had finally found the individuals they were looking for. The winners, whoever they were, just vanished. And the puzzle makers? They went completely silent.
Even today, more than a decade later, the puzzle is still technically unsolved. The best code breakers in the world, the smartest minds in cryptography, have thrown everything they have at the Liber Primus, and yet huge sections of it are still a complete mystery. Its biggest secrets are still locked away. Which, of course, brings us to the biggest question of all. After all this time, after the global hunt and the impossible book, who was actually behind this whole incredible thing? Well, the world has a lot of theories, but as for concrete answers, yeah, those are a lot harder to find. So, there are pretty much 3 leading theories. Theory 1, it was a secret recruitment tool for a government spy agency like the NSA looking for elite cryptographers. Theory 2, it was a group of hacktivists trying to find allies in the fight for digital privacy. Or Theory 3, it was all just one massive, incredibly complex piece of performance art. The simple and kind of frustrating truth is we just don't know. Despite years of people trying to figure it out, journalists, investigators, the online community itself, the true identity of Cicada 3031 remains one of the internet's best-kept secrets. And maybe that's the whole point. Just like every other clue they ever left, the final answer, who they really are, is still hidden. It's out there somewhere, waiting in the silence, for someone smart enough to finally find it. The only question is, will anyone ever be?